this is Francois from Young and Giant. What up, and your popularity?
How do you feel the response has been to the album so far? Are you satisfied with it?
Yeah, it's been really good. We were lucky enough that we kind of got right out on the road as it was being released, so we could kind of see how people were taking it from city to city, and we've always done pretty well with our live show, but it was nice to have something that we could give people afterwards and they could listen to what they had seen on stage, and we've gotten pretty much nothing but really positive feedback from them.
Was it exciting for you to see the album come together? What were some of the highs and the lows that went with that?
Well, yeah, I mean, it was definitely exciting. The album itself kind of took a while to finish. We had started pre-production in February, and we had been doing some recording for a couple months, and it was all live tracking, which we weren't really fully prepared for at the time and kind of took a lot out of us. And then we ended up taking a 6-week break for tour, to go tour with a band called Minus the Bear, and then we came back and finished the overdub. So it was kind of a drawn-out process, but it's nice to finally actually have like a physical copy that we can play and show people. So we're all really excited.
Can you talk a bit about some of the highs and the lows that you went through in recording?
Yeah, I mean, like I mentioned, it was live tracking for kind of the bulk of it was, the bass, drums, and guitars were all done live, and we didn't really know that was going to be the case until pre-production, and our producer came to our house when we lived in Los Angeles and kind of told us that we're going to be doing this live, so we were freaked out. But, it did take a lot out of us just because you have to get everything as close to perfect as possible, so we would be doing one song like 20, 30 times in one day, just over and over and over again. So it got pretty tedious after a little while, and we kind of felt like we weren't really getting much done. But then after we had that finished, it kind of came together rather quickly, and we started to get the mixes back, and it was, that in itself was kind of worth it. And I think just finally getting the actual CDs, like the shrink-wrapped CDs in big boxes, that was probably like the best part for us.
What would you say are the key challenges that the band faces during your creative process?
Well, we write as a unit, so there's 5 members of the band, and we all give everyone an equal voice in the writing process. So in the past, it's kind of been difficult to stay focused, but I think through pre-production and through the recording process, we kind of figured out how to take a step back when someone's got an idea and to try to support them as opposed to having everyone constantly trying to throw stuff into the mix.
What's the biggest thing that you've learned about yourself during the creation of the album?
I don't really need all that much sleep, I guess. That was probably, I always liked sleep a lot, in high school and all that stuff, and we just didn't really get much sleep because we'd be kind of trying to figure out stuff before we went to the studio, and then we'd be in the studio all day, 6 days a week. So, yeah, I learned I can run on very little sleep.
What would you say is the most valuable lesson that you learned on tour this time around?
This time around, I guess it's kind of been reinforced every single tour we've had. It's mostly just to be flexible and kind of keep an open mind about everything, because things will go wrong, and if you're kind of too rigid and incapable of going with it, then you're bound to kind of get yourself in trouble. So if you always keep an open mind as to how to fix things and what's actually supposed to happen, then when things do happen that aren't necessarily planned for, then you've kind of got a head start.
Did any song surprise you by taking a different direction than you initially envisioned?
Yeah, there was one tune, it's called Islands. It's kind of this very ambient, pretty slow, kind of roomy type of sound. And when we had originally written it, when the chord progression came together, it was very percussive, very fast. And then when we got into pre-production, it became apparent to us that we had a lot of kind of busy and dense music going on, so we wanted something to kind of give a little breath to the album. And I think that song kind of lent itself pretty well to slowing it down and just adding this kind of vibe to it. So yeah, it's from the time we'd written it to the time it was all said and done, that probably changed the most.
Is there a song on the album that you enjoy most, or even one that you enjoy playing the most live?
Yeah, I think there is a difference certainly between playing the most and the most as a song. I really, as the drummer, I love to play Streetwalker. It's really fast, kind of fun, just allows me to just go a little crazy. But as far as actual songs and songwriting and melody and cohesiveness, I'd say Guns Out is probably my favorite.
Can you describe your attraction to music?
Yeah, sure. I guess I can give it a shot. I don't know. Since I was a kid, my parents and my mom specifically would play me classical music. One thing that I always really liked was to kind of get chills and to have that very deep emotional connection with music. And that's always kind of been something that's stayed the same throughout my growth musically. But now it's also not so much just the emotional, but I also really love to be able to listen to an album and not know exactly how they made those sounds, or how it was that they did the writing process. And when you're a musician, you tend to kind of overanalyze everything, and so it's fun to be able to listen to an album and have absolutely no idea how they came to where they're at. I guess that's kind of difficult to parlay, but that's probably the best I can do.
What has the highlight of 2010 been for you?
Touring with Minus the Bear was pretty awesome. It was our first national tour, and I'd been a big Minus the Bear fan in high school, so it was cool to finally meet someone that we really respected musically, and not to say that we hadn't met anyone before, but that had kind of been a part of our musical lives before we were in a band, and to actually be taken onto that tour and to have them, really accept us, especially because we're so much younger than them. I would have to say that's probably the highlight for me.
Do you have any final thoughts or anything that you'd like to share with the Readers of Popularity?
We're going to be releasing the album kind of with a major push in January, and there's going to be a bunch of added stuff like B-sides, and it talks about vinyl and all that stuff. So I guess just keep an eye out for that.